want to go into a little some of these longer stories that you've written because there you've really used your real name, and those two are show your bent. You've done so many stories on the subcultures, I'll call them. I mean, I think one of the first ones I read was on the Cambodians.
Yeah.
Of course, you knew Cambodia because you were there, so
yes.
that was an entree. Right about the Cambodians who were refugees in San Diego back in '94, I think this was.
Yeah, that's right.
And those stories came easy to you.
Well, I just, I've looked out the Cambodian eateries and stuff, and because it was just too good to go and talk to the good old boys about, whatever side they're on.
And you don't speak Cambodian?
No, I don't.
Okay.
Well, I speak a bit of Thai, and that helps with command. So,
okay.
So, but really that plus French helped a lot of the older.
Oh, the older people speak French.
As well. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. And then I saw another one back in the early days on Palestinians.
Oh yes, yeah.
And another one on Afghans who had they were refugees from Afghanistan at that point, back I think in the '90s, maybe from was it during the Russian takeover? I'm trying to remember now. Who were they refugees from?
Yeah, I think '93. I can't remember.
I can't remember either. And I didn't go back and read the whole story, but I was so impressed by how many of those there were.
Well, I really enjoyed the Khmer people because they had that sort of combination of French and Cambodian and Chinese influence. And here, because they were a long way away from home, and they loved to talk about, as I did, because I'd felt, I had a couple of wonderful years.
Now, people don't know this, but I don't mind saying it because I think it's kind of obvious as someone who follows you faithfully. Many of your stories are from Coronado, and one of the subcultures, well, it was a very short-lived subculture, were the Lost Boys.
Oh,
who came in and stayed with at least one Coronado family. Is that right? Or
Yes, they did. The family gave their house over and went and lived in their sort of apartment above the garage.
Oh, they did.
Yes,
the family turned over the house to
the whole thing.
Boys of Sudan. Is that right?
Yeah.
Oh man.
And but what a reward, because these kids, had come from no education, not sort of some education, but no education whatsoever.
How old were they? Were they teenagers?
Yes, they were teenagers. Sort of 17, 18, maybe a couple of years more than that. But when they came here, they were just like blotting paper. They got a sort of education. They worked like dogs in the morning at their home school there in the house. And
in Coronado.
In Coronado.
And how long did they stay there?
They were there for at least a couple of years.
Really?
Yes.
I didn't know. Well, of course, you wrote the story. I don't know, early on, or was it midway through their time?
It was sort of early on.
Wow.
Actually. But I mean, since they have, there's a couple of MAs out there, and
really,
they're just brilliant kids. One is doing for a PhD, and the 3 or 4 have started up schools.
Oh, so you follow them?
Yes, because I always kept meeting at Vaughn's grocery stores. The couple who'd given over.
So they followed them, of course. Yeah.
But it was an inspiring story because they'd spent, the formative years of their childhood in the bush.
Wow.
And, they said it's an interesting thing that if going to school, they first started off as asking kids, well, what do you do? Because when they had been kids, at the age of 5, they had looked after the chickens, and at 7, they looked after the goats, and the camels.
They had a busy childhood.
And they had been, doing stuff all the time. So they hadn't been doing nothing, and they didn't know what to do in vacation.
They were always